there is a growing sort of cottage industry around Tucker Carlson, sort of advocating for him, even in the sort of like there's like a like a national Tucker Carlson advocacy group that is online, because there's money to be made here, and for a lot of these people, it's really just about money. For some, it's about political power. But this is becoming.
What do you think it's about for Glenn Greenwald?
Well, I think it's about fame, and I think it's about money. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that's what it is. And I think to some extent there's a personal aggrievement. I think there was also an inclination that was there. I mean, I was actually talking to someone about this last night, and I'm not going to say who the actor was, but there was a phenomenon we used to talk about, that there were some people that we knew from the Boston area where they would get a little bit of taste of celebrity or some success in show business, and they lost all perspective on things. And there was one person that we knew who that I knew who just like after the smallest bit of success had assumed that they were superstars, and that this person got fired from being on this show, Murphy Brown. This was a while back. We got fired on day one giving a line reading to the star of the show, to Candace Bergen, and because they were so deluded. And so I think that one of the dangers of this online world is that there's the low bar to entry. It gives people an inflated sense of self, and there is a feedback loop with their audience. And I've said this about YouTube for a long time, but it's also the case with Substack and Twitter and all of this. There's a feedback loop. And if you stumble onto something, or you get into someone's slipstream, essentially, or into their wake, it becomes lucrative, and you get attention, and you're protected. And, and I think that's what's happened with a lot of people who, they may have some like political inclinations that sort of make it much easier for them to do that, but it's also they have an intense desire to rack up the dough. I mean, look, the amount of money that some people are making on these platforms is just massive. It's just massive. It's an extraordinary amount of money, and I think that people are guided by that to a certain extent. And then there are other, like I say. It's also a good business to succeed at if you're someone who has like some social issues that you can't really integrate with other people. And so, I think all of these things combined.
Earlier, you said something about this that is really resonating here for me, because I see Glenn Greenwald, and I've had conversations with him, and he audibly told me that he really believes what the hell he's saying. Now, I don't believe that, right? Obviously, because his arguments have gone from being brilliant to being fatuous at best. And it's a real disappointment. I've done a lot of work with Glenn over the years, and just to see him go this way is really disappointing. But, I mean, the money is massive. The money is incredible, but you were saying something earlier, and we're talking about like some of these cycles, the Republican Party going downhill, almost getting out of control. And I wonder if they honestly don't believe that there's an other side to what's going on right now. Because what I believe is going on right now is a global pan-reactionary movement from Vladimir Putin down to Glenn Greenwald. Yeah, all of them and in between. They are all regimented. They have their assignments. We have the international assignment. We see that going on in Ukraine. We have the national domestic assignment, best represented by the Make America Great Again movement. But they get all the way down to the very nitty details. And this is why you get the Steven Crowders and the B tier, right? No, the C team, right? The Steven Crowders and the Glenn Greenwalds and all the rest of them who are trying to come up and make their way through the algorithm. And while the money is massive right now, Sam, you've done this for a while. I've done it long enough to realize don't ever get too excited about what you're making right now. Well, that shit'll be gone tomorrow, Glenn.
No, I understand, but I don't think it actually is going to go away for them. I mean, I think, frankly, I think their ecosystem is very different. from ours, and their audience is very different. And I think that's why it is not surprising that this is happening. A lot of this stuff gets, breaks out when it's counter-cyclical. I don't think it's as coordinated as some do. I think it's pretty easy to figure out where you go. I mean, right? All you got to do is
you follow the money.
You follow them on Twitter. You drop a line here or there. You see that your clicks are gone up. Well,
I mean, but that's the coordination underneath, right? I mean, that's the work of the algorithm. The algorithm is doing the work of the coordination for them because it's routing them to the place where they are best fit based on the economic model. So yes, it is the monetization, it is the algorithm, and it does not necessitate a greater hand in the background, but it's already in motion. But if it's not being coordinated from the top, and it's being coordinated by the algorithm, then all we got to, anyway, I'll stop there.
I think what it does is sort of like lead to a situation where all of a sudden so many different types of people are playing footsie with Kyle Rittenhouse sympathizers, for instance, a few months ago, right? Like that's how the phenomenon happened. It's like, this is attention. This is what a certain audience wants to hear said.
Yeah, and I think, look, this is, the interesting thing here is that there has become like an alignment between the Republicans' perspective on their understanding that they are going to lead as a minoritarian party, right? And so, I mean, let me phrase it this way: when Marin started his podcast, and I started mine shortly after that. My perspective was Marin's going to have a lot more, a much bigger audience, which he did. And I said, but my audience is going to be more willing to become a member of my show than his because of the nature of, what we're doing and where you can find it. There's going to be more casual listeners to Marin. And to a large extent, that was true. He didn't even pursue that model. And if you look at the Republican Party, which is now basically saying we're not going to go for a wide audience, we're going to feed and deepen our connection with a minority of voters out there, which is true both on a presidential level, it's true in many respects in a congressional level, and it's definitely true in the context of the Senate. And we're going to rule with a more dedicated but smaller number of people. That is also the recipe in which, Fox launched and these, shows and the Substackers and this and that. You are appealing to people who have a sense of aggrievement, who are not represented. Their views are not the majority, but are a very hard and deep, minority opinion. It could be 40%, could be 45%, could be 35%, whatever. And it just becomes a better product in terms of commodifying it because there's a certain amount of scarcity that's associated with it. There's a certain amount of transgressiveness that's associated with it. And, all these things combine. It's both, this is the way they're going to maintain power. This is the way that some people are going to get rich. This is the way that some people are going to get some measure of celebrity. All of these things are hardening, and they're hardening around the worst impulses that people have in our society, the ones that have been here forever in many respects, but it sometimes are more prominent than others, and they're about as prominent as they've been in this country for 50 or 60 years.